Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to Friday Night AV with myself, Scott Newby. We appreciate you guys being here. I had a lot of people asking me why I was starting this, and I just wanted to have a different angle of fun with the hobby instead of just sitting down in the theater by myself or having a group of people over for the night. I just wanted to kind of hang out with all of you and bring on some special guests over the next couple of weeks. We got some cool guests lined up, which I will share. Tonight for the icebreaker, we are bringing, what's a better guest to have on Friday the 13th than Don Dunn himself from Haven Smart. He's certainly had his hands in a lot of things, audio and video wise, that I know of. One thing I want to make clear before we start is for our giveaway, where we are giving away some AirPods and some gift cards for our Race to 1,000. We're doing a Race to 1,000 subscribers. You come to the channel, you subscribe to Living It Up with Scott and Kat, and then shoot us an email, and I will put up the email. And send us an email, say just in the subject line, put Race to 1,000. And then Kat has been going through all the emails and emailing everybody back that you are confirmed and that you are entered. And that's all you got to do, man. And you can win some cool stuff. So subscribe to the channel, go to Living It Up with Scott and Kat, and you're entered. AirPods, gift cards. We're going to be doing some cool stuff. So like I said, we were breaking the ice tonight with Don Dunn. Next week, bring in Mark Seaton from Seaton Sound. We also have Ryan from Ascend AV coming up. I also have Brandon Hill, Calibrator, coming up, and we have a few other guests. So this is going to be a cool place to hang out, even something for you guys to check out later. A lot of good conversations. We're going to have a lot of fun. We'll get technical with some stuff, but literally we're just here to have a good time. So without further ado, if he's not sleeping or if he's not at a disco dancing somewhere, let's see if Don Dunn is available. Oh, there! Oh, see, told you, called him dancing.
Well, hey,
no.
Hi.
Was that the Bee Gees I heard in the background?
Bee Gees, stand alive. What's up,
dude?
The newbie, the nigga newbie, nigga newbie. What's up, dog?
Hey, man, how long have we been chatting about doing something cool like this, man? This is awesome that
Quite a long time.
Yeah.
Well, so I think it's a great idea, man. You've done so much, besides having the most intense room. A lot of circles, I'm considered the bass head, and I'm like, well, as long as Newbie's around, I can't really take that title. So, I mean, you got like 122 18s in your room or something?
123.
123, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I got a couple. Hey, man, you got later on in this episode, we're going to talk about a lot of the cool stuff you got just laying around your house.
Well, it's not just laying around. I put it to good use.
The bathroom, the bedroom, the
kitchen. I hate that word. My 16-year-old's like, Dad, you're an influencer now. I'm like, oh my God, really? I'm not a boomer.
So just for the people, who is Don Dunn? For the people that don't know, like from your VHS dancing videos or from Chunkendales, I mean, who is Don Dunn and what is Don Dunn about?
I don't even know who the hell Don Dunn is. When I grow up, I'll let you know. Well, I was born a poor boy in Kentucky, Irish boy. So I started in car audio in the 80s. I was at a Gold's Gym in like 87 working out, and there was a car stereo shop next door, and they pulled up their show car, and it was a pair of 18s back then. It wasn't like 127 drivers like they do now, and it shook the gym, and I was like, oh, and we all ran outside, and they were playing Brass Monkey in a 86 IROC Camaro, and I was like, oh my God, that is my destiny. So I dove like I do head first into car audio, and did that for quite a long time. I competed in IASCA which is really Florida. It's kind of tough. I had a competitive system, had a couple 18s and a 240SX, but then I went like to the Midwest and dominated because, you know, they were using kickers and pile drivers and stuff like that. Anyways, long story short, I worked in car audio, did a couple other questionable jobs in between, and then started at Circuit City and was like, oh my God, this is what I wanted to do, which was a little crazy back then because there wasn't a whole lot. I could tell you everything there is to know about VCRs. And we had a crazy new thing coming down the road called DVD we're excited about. But I did that, worked at a company called Sound Device after that, which is a pro group retailer like Tweeters or whatever, where I sold B&W, Conrad Johnson, Krell, Yamaha, higher end product mixed. And I saw a pamphlet on THX, and being a monster, I'm a Star Wars kid, saw it in 77 when it opened. I saw THX and I'm like, that's what I want to do. So I thought I had all this knowledge, and I went and worked for my first integrator in 1998 and pretty much lost my ass because I didn't know anything. I thought I knew. And I've been doing it ever since. I mean, I've been doing it, you know, consumer electronics since the late 80s, in one capacity or the other. But I've kind of been in home theater since the beginning of home theater, when there was just a few systems and we were using CRT projectors. Remember those with the 3 lenses?
Size of like an end table.
Right. We would do those, exactly. Or we do double stacks with line processors like Ferrugia. I mean, it was a lot more difficult. Today, what you get for $10, $15, $20,000 smokes what you used to get for $70 or $80 or $100,000 back then. That's just the truth.
Well, yeah, a $400 projector today I carry out in my pocket. I have just because his picture is one of those things, right?
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, so I worked for a pretty high end company back then, and we did. There wasn't a whole lot of options. I mean, you had THX speakers, and that's pretty much what we did in all theaters. So I did a lot of M&K, the original M&K, Audio Design Associates separates, B&K, which was a amplifier brand back in the day. I did some Atlantic Technology. We did quite a bit of Triad, and as well as JBL synthesis. So I've been doing theaters essentially as long as they've been doing theaters, to be honest with you.
I think once anyone heard the THX intro for the first time, they got the
Oh, hell yeah.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dude. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
Hey, tell me that just give you goosebumps just hearing that.
It still does to this day. Thomas and Holman, you know, Lucas had him create the THX cinema experience for commercial theaters. I've got a limited edition poster I paid several $100s for off camera here, but then the home THX project just really established it established all the parameters for what we consider home theater now. Obviously, things are different. We don't have to do correlation, timbre matching, and all that stuff we used to, but it really set the stage and laid out the groundwork. I got THX certified many years ago at a CDA class with a guy named John Dahl. And THX is still relevant with the Dominus and some of the things, but it was really the catalyst for the modern, and because THX really focused on room construction, sound mitigation, acoustics, and now several people have taken that science to the next level. You had Floyd Toole, who came out with this book and all these parameters on sound. And even from then, I believe that I think we've even went past what Floyd Toole talked about. And you got guys like Anthony Gramati, Matt Pose, Keith Yates, and some others who are on the cutting edge of what's possible in home theater technology now, as long as you got the De Niro.
So your current, after going through all of that, so now you're a big part of a company called Haven Smart, correct?
Right. So we're an integration company. And I don't know if a lot of people really understand what integrators do. It's the kind of the name we've christened there. Because the hardest part was, you know, you go out socially and people are like, so what do you do? And I'd be like, well, I sell TVs. Like, you got a minute? We integrate shades, lighting control, with circadian rhythm. We do all kinds of automation in the home, from pool control, integration of security, surveillance, and distributed audio. So we can take audio and move it throughout a home. And of course, doing theater rooms or theater rooms were in vogue in the late 90s, early 2000s. They went out of vogue and it turned into media rooms. Now theaters are making a comeback. So integrators do a lot of different things and bring them all together to fulfill our clients' needs and their enjoyment in their life.
So the role, say you fill in that company, is somebody says, "Hey, I have a house, or I'm building a house. Here's my budget. I want a home theater," and then you just take it from there.
Well, yes, to a point. So what we do is we usually meet with a client. Most of our clients come from home builders. We have several builder partners. We have 3 locations: Tampa, Sarasota, and Georgia, and we're actually expanding to a couple other states. But we sit down and do an amazing thing is we sit down and listen to our clients. We listen to their needs. This is their second home. They've never had a technology system, or this is their 4th home, and they've had 2 or 3 systems and they were unhappy. Or so we really listen to what our clients need, and we design. Now we have a design department at Haven Smart. We have 3 people that all they do is design systems, which is great because we can just talk to the client and give them the overview and they'll design it. But we put together systems. We make sure we wire the house. Probably the most critical thing we do as integrators, or if you're building a house, is properly wiring it, because it's so much easier to do it now than later. We build an infrastructure wiring. We design security system to make them so the clients can feel comfortable in their home and secure. And then we also put design surveillance systems. Lighting control is a huge part of what we do. And I know it's not a big deal to most people, and I know a lot of people here are home theater specific, but having lighting control is probably the coolest thing you can do in your house. Whether it's a 2,000 square foot house like mine or a 100,000 square foot house like some of the ones I'm working on, lighting control really is amazing. And now they have a technology called circadian rhythm, which is something that kind of NASA pioneered a few years ago, which actually studies how the rotation of the sun in the day affects our well-being. So our lighting systems in the morning are a certain color that mimics what the natural lighting would be in the morning. As the day progresses, when you turn on your lights, they're brighter and more powerful, and LED lights allow us to do that. And then as the evening goes, the lights dim and become more comfortable to kind of ease us into the evening. That's just a little part of what we do, but I think that's super cool. We do automated door locks, gate control, landscape lighting, anything that pertains to low voltage and technology in the home, we do that. One of the things that we do now quite a bit is a voice technology similar to Alexa and Google and some of the other ones out there, but it doesn't monitor everything you say and send it to Big Brother. It's called Josh AI. And it also allows you to plain speak, and it learns. So you can go, "Hey, Josh, turn on the TV, turn on Stranger Things season 2, dim the lights to 50% and lower the shades." You say it just like that. Okay. All these things happen. So we're kind of on the cutting edge of what's coming and technology wise. But listen, what we do, most of our clients are wealthy. It's not for everybody, but all that trickles down into everyday people like myself who just want to have cool technology.
You're a legend, Don. Do you see on the screen?
Yeah.
You're out here mentoring people. Is this one?
That's what they call me at work, but it's a joke.
Is this from your dance class, or is this from the home theater guy?
It's big Irish guy aerobics, man. I'm coming out with a video like Jane Fonda. Yeah, I'm showing my age saying Jane Fonda. No, I've just done it a long time. And a few years ago, Control 4, which is our primary automation line that we sell, we're going to put a system for evaluation in the Gene Audioholics home. And they wanted to have an integrator that could speak, that could get along with Gene, because he's the audio godfather, right? Or is what we call him. And Gene and I met and hit it off, and we did the system in his house. It turned out great. And we kind of talked him into building a new house, and I worked with him to design that system in that new house. It was supposed to be a representation of the ultimate smart home, and in a lot of ways it really is. But what it does is gives him all these environments to review and test products, which is really cool. And I became a part of the Audioholics family, which was great. I mean, obviously my main job and what I focus on every day is Avon Smart, but it's been a really great experience. Being able to be exposed to even more products and more amplifiers, receivers, and technology, being a part of that. It's been a great experience.
You know, I don't know. I don't know how I wanted to word this question. Oh,
you're the newbie. Come on. No, Josh is not proprietary to Control 4. It works great with Control 4. They're a partner, but it also works with Savant, which is another automation product that we offer for our clients, and Crestron and whatever. Or it can work independently by itself. Savant's a really cool product.
no, what I wanted to ask you is, I built my room. I mean, we moved in this house, just old shitty basement, and framed it out. And no, it was. We lived down the street. We found this house. We came and we rehabbed the whole thing. The basement was just tore up. The whole house was tore up, actually. But I made a lot of mistakes along the way doing everything myself, because all my rooms before that were just in living rooms or extra rooms in my house. So it was my first chance to really go dedicated. Just because this is what you do for a living, I think people will find this valuable. What is the most common mistake that you think people make, and what do you think the most important thing to do when you first, like, if somebody's gonna do something themselves, what is a common thing people overlook?
Well, let's start with what I feel is most important is really properly designing the room, because the room is as important or more important than the equipment that you put into it. And I know people have said that, but I see so many people in the forums, like home theater enthusiasts and some of the groups that are awesome we're a part of, but people dip their toe in the water and it's like everybody wants to give an opinion. But really designing the room, you have to take into consideration, all right, I'm building a theater room, whether you're building it yourself or hiring somebody. What do you want to do with that room? Are you single? Do you have a bunch of little kids and a wife that hates bass? Where do you live? And really designing, do I need to do sound mitigation in that room? Meaning constructing the room, and this construction of rooms is the most misunderstood and least addressed part of the whole process. Everybody's so consumed with dimensions and acoustic treatments on the inside and where they're going to put their speakers. They don't think about how can we mitigate that sound that comes out of the room. And here's why. If you want to go down and watch a movie at reference level at night and not wake up the kids or annoy other family members or friends, that's super important. And we've got some techniques and tactics that we use with our builder partners in order to construct rooms in such a way that we mitigate the sound. Soundproofing is a word we never use because legally, I mean, you know how hard it is to soundproof a room. I mean, it takes tens of thousands of dollars to do that, but we can mitigate the sound with construction. There are a lot of mistakes people make. Dimensions on where they sit in relation to the speakers and the screen. One of the most overlooked things is HVAC. Most people just use standard vents and maybe a return in another room. And when you're at low passes in movies, what do you get? When the AC kicks on. There's nothing more annoying than that. Or how to properly place your projector. Where should I place my projector? Because projectors make noise. The newer projectors are much quieter than they used to be. They still make a substantial amount of noise. A lot of times when you go into a room, you take a sound meter, even a theater room, you're at 40 or 50 dBs just without doing anything. And so that's your foundation. Those are some common mistakes that people make. Another thing is overthinking placement of your speakers. Some people are still into the mindset that the front, left, and right have to be as wide as possible. That's not true. It's not true at all. A lot of people will put everything behind the screen and have issues with comb filtering or various different things. They don't do multi-sub across the room. Or a lot of people will do speaker, sub, center, speaker, and or sub and speaker. And, you're not taking advantage of getting that additional gain on the subwoofer. So there's a lot of mistakes that people make. And aesthetics got a lot of that, if that makes sense.
Well, definitely, I agree with that, especially if you can't do a dedicated space. You know, and it's strange because I've been to maybe like I think just the initial placement of no matter what equipment you have, if it's cheap, mediocre, expensive. I've been to a lot of rooms where I've talked with a lot of guys to where if they just took the time to set up what they have properly and had the speakers at ear level, like sir, I've seen surrounds like mounted right at the ceiling, you know, up in the corners, not even pointing at the seats.
Mhm.
And literally, dude, there's been a system that we've gone a high dollar system to where like the center channels on the right rear surround and like the top middles on the front left, and things just aren't calibrated, hooked up, you know, not even hooked up right.
So let's talk a little bit about surrounds. That's something that I'm pretty passionate about. So in a theater, the idea is to take away when you sit in that theater and you're watching that screen and you turn the lights down and you're involved in a movie. The idea is for those walls to disappear beside you, right? It's to
Correct.
immerse you in a movie. So your front three speakers are, everybody knows that they're critical, but I don't think a lot of people understand just how critical they are. That is the placement and reference psychoacoustically of what we're watching. That, you know, Arnold on his Harley, you don't want a dinky center channel. You don't want to go from a Harley to a Honda to a Harley and whatnot, but it's important to have those. And they don't have to be as wide as the entire room. That's just not the way it works. Okay. Surrounds are designed for ambient sound, meaning as you sit down, just like you do in nature, if a helicopter flies over and it's flying over your head, you're going to hear that sound reflected off multiple surfaces. And most people can have 25 surround speakers. So the speakers that you have for surround should have some ambient reflection. You shouldn't overly treat a room. You want that sound from your rears to bounce off and decay properly, just like it would in nature. So I'm not at all a fan and do not believe at all, and neither do most of the really high-end theater designers, that a surround speaker should be ear level, because
Okay.
you've got a multitude of seating, you got a speaker at ear level. No matter what you do, you're going to hear that shit. It's going to be overpower everything else. I like to be at about 15 degrees above ear level.
Well, let me elaborate, I guess, why I think that's important in my room. I got 7.5-foot ceilings. My seats sit about 2.5 feet off the back wall. So with my rear Atmos, I didn't want to collapse that rear soundstage by having the rear speaker so close to the rear Atmos.
Bingo.
So that's exactly why it was important. It was important in my space. Let me say, maybe not in everybody's.
Well, in any space. So, you know, I cut my chops on like M&K 150 tripole speakers or dipole speakers. Back in the day, I don't know how much you know about old THX, but it used to be ProLogic, and you would
My dad bought one of the very first Onkyo 810 integrated amps with ProLogic in it. Man, I remember that shit.
Okay, so and I actually owned Onkyo's first AC3, which was Dolby
919
Digital.
or 939.
No, it was the not the 919, it was the 828 THX.
Okay.
Yeah, the 919 was just a hair above my pay grade, but they had an outboard. I'm super impressed you knew that. That means the world to me, by the way. So
I was 9 years old, brother, when that came out.
ED, yeah, kiss my ass. It was an ED901 AC3 processor, and I was at Circuit City, and I had these Infinity speakers, and I did the receiver with the and it had like a multi-pin, like a DIN cable that plugged in, and then I hooked a laser disc to it and watched The Lion King, which I think was the first AC3 or Dolby Digital laser disc, and it was really cool. So I've kind of been on the cutting edge of that. But back in the day, you would use a dipole speaker because THX was Dolby ProLogic was a 4-channel system. Or 3-channel. It was stereo, and then they summed the center, and then the rear channels were both mono.
Yeah.
But they used a technology called decoralization, where the signal would actually bounce back and forth like a dipole speaker bounces back and forth, and it would give you the illusion of separation. And what that was designed to do, when you go to a real movie theater, you have an array of speakers, right? We've all seen that.
Yeah.
And those array of speakers are digitally delayed so that it sounds ambient, because you don't want to go, oh, that gunshot's right there. You want to go, oh, that gunshot's all around me, or that helicopter's all around me. And that was their way then of designing a speaker. And it took them a while to get off the dipole tit. I mean, there was AC3, there was 6.1. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then there's 7.1. So first of all, let's go back and talk about how the layout of a system is. Oh, I've got a 7.4.4. Do you? All right. You actually have a 7.1.4, 0.4 being the Atmos channels or effects channels. But the 0.1 is always mono. You can have multiple subs, but they're all playing the same mono signal. That's just the nomenclature of our business. But I just wanted to clarify that for the people that may not know that. And I'm sure
I gotta before you move forward, I got a question with that. Is that changing now with the 0.1? Now that I see Denon and Marantz have this directional bass.
Well, that's all internal. That's all Denon and Marantz's proprietary technology, right?
Okay.
What Dolby, which is the mother where it all comes from, is
Yeah.
putting out as a 0.1. It's a
Okay.
low frequency channel designed still to this day to be played at 80 hertz or below, because that's kind of the point that Thomas and Holman decided that, in that transitional, the term transitional frequencies, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like 120 hertz down. That's where the point where sound stops becoming directional and becomes like a rate.
Omnidirectional. Yeah.
Omnidirectional.
Yeah.
And forgive me if I reiterate things you guys already know. I don't know who's on here, and I'm just kind of going back to the day. So back in my time, back when I was a boy, back in my time, we would do theaters, whether like a JBL, or we did a lot of triad, because that's all we had. Or M&K was the belle of the ball. M&K was just kick ass. If you listen to a 2-channel song on M&K 150s, you want to throw rocks at it. It was terrible. But on multi-channel sound, it was amazing. So we used to use a piece, that Audio Control, which is one of my favorite companies on the planet that does not get enough love, is Audio Control. They made if I remember right, a 6 or 7 channel PEQ that we would go from like our 88 preamp or our B&K preamp or whatever pre-pro that we had into this, then back out to the amplifiers. And we would use RTA meters to actually test the sound in the room. I mean, we did a lot of shit wrong compared to today. We would over-treat rooms, but and even back then we used multi-subs. Then it was in our mindsets about output. It wasn't the technology of 2 subs playing the same sound will cancel that wave and therefore give a more even balanced sound. We did it for more output. But we did a whole lot of stuff back then. And that's how we wean. And, I gotta be honest with you, Scott, we did some kick-ass rooms back in the day that sounded great. But just as things go, we were in the infancy of home theater, and we're in a renaissance of home theater now, from what you can do with just a few dollars. I mean, you can buy a $5,000 Sony or a $3,500 Epson and destroy, crush the picture quality of a Vidicron or a Sony CRT projector we did back in the day for $50,000, $70,000, $100,000. So that being said, I'm just kind of going through that so everybody understands the progression of home theater. Now everybody's a home theater expert because of the internet. Now I know there are some talented people, but there are also a lot of people that get some cool software, do a couple of drawings, and decide that they're home theater experts. The market is flooded with those guys. And you know what? More often than not, people they don't get a great experience with it because they don't understand construction. They don't understand the workflow. They don't understand HVAC. They don't understand sound mitigation in the room. They don't understand how to sound mitigate your projector's noisy output. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Well, because, my projector sits in my room. I got it's 2-generation old JVC 590R, and in high output mode on HDR, I mean, during quiet passages, it's distracting. No
Right.
doubt.
It really, it can be. So when a client comes to me or Haven Smart, and they're building a dream home. And we deal with rich people. I'm just not going to lie. The majority of our clients are affluent. What other business you going to be in if you're an integrator? And some people just don't care. They just want a nice theater, and we listen to them. We don't start, trying to put in 21-inch subs and this and that. And we're also bound by working with interior designers and builders. You have to understand that aesthetics in a home, if you're building a multi-million-dollar home, aesthetics are king. So we've gotten really good at eking in good audio and video while still maintaining the threshold of the aesthetics. But most of the people, now I get some clients are like, dude, I want a kick-ass theater. And I'm like, I'm your guy. Come on, let's do it. And we listen and we put together a system appropriate for the client. Because listen, at the end of the day, all that matters, Scott, is how you feel about your theater, how everybody watching this feels about their system, and how our clients feel about their system. What I like is irrelevant. And a lot of people in this business will sell the shit they like because they're living vicariously or they don't know any better. I have a multitude of products and speakers and amplifiers and ways to give it. If a client wants a $30,000 theater, I'll put together a $30,000 theater, and it'll sound as best as it possibly can for that money.
To address Abe here, can we get some DIY acoustic treatment tips? The first thing I want to say, Abe, because I treated my room with a couple panels I got from GIK, but the DIY thing that I did that made the biggest improvement in my theater is I was the guy, even after calibration, I would always bump my center channel up a dB or two just because I didn't feel it was crispy enough or it just wasn't intelligible enough. I put 4 inches of safe and sound insulation across my whole back wall behind my seats, and then I covered it with black fabric, which is really $5 cheap Walmart black curtains, but we won't tell anybody. Oh, shit, we're live.
So, you want to do some simple guides for that for the people?
Yeah.
All right. So here's what's step one. If you're doing a theater, right, and you're on a budget, you're going to piecemeal it together. You've got your left, your right, and your center. The first thing you want to address is the first reflection point, right? You want to try in a theater, not in an audio room, in a theater. You want to address those first reflections, and that is as your left and right speakers play in this direction, you want to try to mitigate that first reflection point, which is important. All right. So you want to have absorptive panels to the first reflection point to the left and right of your speakers. And there's a couple ways to do that. You can take a mirror, that was the old THX way, or just calculate out where that first with the dispersion pattern of your speaker, how wide it'll play, and really control that. The second most important thing that you want to address, step from that, is slap echo. That means sound going past your ear and hitting a wall and coming back at you. So you want to do absorptive or a combination of absorptive and diffusive. And I'm assuming everybody knows the difference between diffusive. Sound hits it, spreads out in a million directions. Absorptive, sound hits it, doesn't go anywhere. You want to be able to control that. So that's your first 2 points that you want to address. First reflection, slap echo coming behind you. The next thing you want to try to address is not making your room overly dead. So you want to put some diffusers around your surround area towards the back of the room. Again, going back to understanding the psychoacoustics of what we listen to. When you're watching a movie, you're on a deck of a pirate ship. You want to feel like you're on a pirate ship with sails and all that. Meaning you want those surrounds to play, but you want that sound from the surrounds to hit your ear, but also reflect back and forth and then dissipate over a period of time, which psychoacoustically gives you the illusion of being in a world, being the walls disappearing where you're at. You don't want to overly treat your back walls or your side walls for your surrounds. Super important. So a combination of diffuser, absorbers, or a combination diffuser, absorber really work well on that.
Okay. Yeah. When I started killing some of that slap echo in my room, that right away my
You can hear it, right?
Oh no! I mean, it wasn't muffled. It didn't like it would always like the first week or two I had the theater set up. I was always kind of like, what did he just say? Like it, but dude, as soon as I hit that back wall, is crystal clear. Then I got to turn the center channel back down to where it should have been.
So there's going to be a bunch of micro arguments about all the things I said. Fine. But I'm telling you from experience and actual clients, people sitting down in seats that don't give a shit about Focal or JL Audio or JBL or Artisan or Perlisten. They just want it rock, right? And that's something that's important to them. And also turning the surrounds up to a level that they blend. A lot of people have these Mac Daddy front speakers and these little bitty surrounds going into it. That you got to have good surrounds. Almost every time I've ever calibrated a system, I'm not a big proponent of auto calibration, which we'll get into, or I've had a professional calibrator come in, and then when we put the client in the seat, they always say, "Oh, I want more surround. I want to hear more surround." That's just what people want. Technically correct is good for you, fine, but technically correct is not what's good for the clients. They always want more surround, always. Then they want more bass. That's just the reality of it. You can argue and you can read Spatial's book and you can argue about how smart you are, but at the end of the day, that's what people want. Period.
I'm gonna get a shirt that says "fuck bass."
What?
Fuck bass. That's
Who?
what my new shirt's gonna say.
Who's fuckface?
No, I said fuck bass.
Oh,
ain't nobody worried about no bass.
Shut up. All right, I'm gonna take a bio break. You talk to the people.
All right, everybody. I hope you are enjoying yourself. Don's probably gonna go take a quick run around the block. Who knows? So when he comes back, oh, sorry. So just to be clear, so what I did, JR, in my room to address my center channel issue that I was having, I was able to fix it with absorption, with just absorption. I actually did 4 inches of sound, safe and sound insulation, and I put it on the wall, pretty much floor to ceiling on my whole back wall behind the 4 rows of seats. And I just left the plain insulation up there. I played a few tracks that I've known in the past for having great dialogue, and right away it cleaned it up to exactly what I wanted it to be. Because like I said before, I was the guy after I did a full blown calibration, even a custom calibration, that I would always be finding myself to bump it up a dB.
Always, every single time, all the time. Sorry, I had my prostate and I had a talk before this, but he won. So, look, that's the people either hate me or they love me. Like I'm telling you the truth from experience, from doing probably a lot more theaters than even the theater experts do every time. And that's not just audio, but and Matt Pose, who's I think's the smartest guy in the industry, or one of them. He's a good friend of mine. Full disclosure, we work at Audioholics. Guy's a genius. He's a PhD. Even he says, I do all these technically perfect calibration. They want more surround and they want more bass. It's about what you like. I'm a movie enthusiast. Literally, I go work out and I walk, I do whatever, but I watch a lot of movies on TV. That's my enjoyment. I've always been, and I know what I like, and I like more surrounds. I like to hear them better, and I like to have more bass. And I think most people are like that. You know, it's not about what the instruments say. It's about what the client likes or the person that owns it likes.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I feel about, because I do a lot of sub calibration, is pretty much I hate anything that's flat.
Well, obviously, dude, you're like an X-Men. You're a mutant. So
no, but I mean, is even a lot of people, is even a lot of people I know. I mean, everybody likes like a good 6, 8, 10, 12 dB house curve, you know, ramping up that bottom end. It seems to me very lifeless without some boost at the low end.
You got to have boost at low end. Listen, companies like Bose and Sonos they learned it. They get it. They focus on the range of sound that people like, right? they, you know, a Sonos system's not going to be 30,000, you know, K, or it's not going to play down to 7 hertz. You know what I mean? They focus on what people like, and you have to understand that. Don't be afraid to turn your system to where you like it, even though some kind of auto calibration or computer says it's not right. Make it the way you want it. That's what matters. Because we all hear different.
So say somebody doesn't have the money or the interest to want to hire an integrator, and they're just kind of doing their own thing, whether it be in a living room or a dedicated space, only because you've been around so much equipment. If somebody's going to go the auto calibration route between like Dirac and Odyssey and should I have Anthem, Arc and Lingdorf and, you know, Room Perfect, like, because I think Macintosh is using Room Perfect now too. I mean, what if
well, I don't like YPOW on Yamaha. I don't give a shit about Odyssey. Dirac, if you know what you're doing and do it right, does a pretty decent job, but you're still going to make your own which I like about Dirac. You can make a lot of adjustments on it. Arc, the Arcam has is pretty good. So the microphones will hear things that you can't hear, phasing issues. Usually the distances are jacked up on them. I've never had an auto calibration system get a distance right. So I always laser aim everything on I do for distance. Then I make adjustments on top of the I do an auto calibration and I add to it. I would say Dirac's probably the most technologically advanced of them right now, but it's still, to get the full Dirac, you should have a laptop and a really good microphone and run it through there. If you're just plugging a mic in the front, you're not getting the full. I'm telling you, probably the best one recently that I've heard, believe it or not, is the new Sony auto calibration on the new line of Sony ES receivers. Works great. Probably one of the best surround layouts after calibration I've ever heard, consistently. And JR, to answer your question, absorption on the back wall.
Okay. Fred 215, Scott's King Kong of subwoofers. I don't know about the King Kong, man, but I am over here.
Dude, you're the King Kong. I mean, own it, right? Own it.
There's somebody out there bigger and better than me, brother, but I'm over here just enjoying the hell out of my stuff.
Tony Soprano with the black background, like we're having a Dateline NBC. So, Scott, did you know that they were going to murder that girl? It's awesome. So listen,
dude, what are you talking about, Don? You got 4 RTJ subs in your living room, just like I got my living room. So you're 12 as I am.
Each equal an 18. No, I did that. I have to turn. I mean, so a moment about Jeff. Jeff's a good friend of both of ours. He owns RTJ and JTR. I've owned 1 or 2 of almost every really good sub out there. Not everyone. I know there's so many of them, but a bunch of good subs from back in the day up till now. And there's no finer sub. They're articulate, meaning they're fast. They dig deep. You know, I do that demo of Ready Player One a lot. And I also listen to it in a lot of demos. And really the bass part, you know, the race scene that I'm talking about, I'm sure you played it 100 times. You know, when the T-Rex stomps or King
and
Kong,
that wrecking ball swinging through.
On big ported subs or lesser subs, it's all blended together with this bass output. It's impressive to most people, but if we really know what you're listening to, but when you listen to it with a JTR sub or an RTJ, that bass is only there when it needs to be. Like, it's not always present. It's just accurate. I've just been blown away by Jeff's products, man. I got to be honest with you. Now, you and I have a little bit different taste. I'm not a compression driver guy, although I think Jeff's compression drivers are the best I've heard in all of audio so far. I mean, they may not look like sexy, but his speakers, there's a lot of technology. His crossovers are amazing, but
you know,
his subs are kingpin.
Yeah, the thing that really turned me on with JTR, even before I came a buddy of Jeff's, is for 10 years I ran Eclipse THX Ultra 2 system with 4 of their subs, and then the
the 650s or the 550s?
All the 650s.
Okay, done a ton.
Yeah, my back surrounds are still the 525s from that system.
Mm-hmm.
So I blew a lot of the tweeters in the 650s.
Yeah, it's the best speaker clips ever made, by the way, in my
Oh,
opinion.
and that's why I kept it for 10
Ever.
years.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing that kind of blew my mind is, because I was changing the tweeters out, I don't know, whenever I had too much to drink and cranked it up trying to impress my friends,
No.
is is I seen a crossover in the THX lineup, and I was like, oh, that don't look too bad. Then I went into Jeff's shop to check out his subs, and
I
he's
should have made
literally
pictures
he's
of
sitting
his.
there like a mad scientist building this huge. And I was like, dude, what the hell is that for? And he's like,
21 gigawatts. Yeah.
yeah, he goes, that's for my 228s, and that's what I have a room full of now. And that literally, you got to hold that crossover with both of your hands.
No, I was just at Jeff's house where his manufacturing facilities attached to it in South Carolina. Jeff's a really good friend of mine and also Scott's, and he's a mad genius on this.
He goes way over the top with everything.
Like Abe asked about Ascendo subs. I'm an Ascendo dealer, and I'm also a RTJ dealer. Ascendo does make some impressive, amazing, 32-inch, 24-inch, 21-inch, 18-inch, 50-inch. So Jeffrey is making some crazy, and they've really kind of pioneered the mainstream of infrasonic audio. But Jeff's ported subs will play infrasonic audio. They've been able to do that for a long time. So Ascendo makes great products, but I absolutely love the subs from RTJ and JTR.
And to go on what you said, because Ryan from Ascendo AV, when I was watching the M-Wave show on Youthman on last Sunday, he goes, I've been around a lot of subs, and he goes, in my personal, and he's been around JL Audio and Perlisson and all those guys. He said, he goes, my two favorite subs is a JTR and Ascendo sub.
They're both great. Now, talking about, there's so many great subs on the market. JL Audio makes killer subs, but like many products in the higher end realm, Kaleidoscape or whatever, which we can talk about, JL Audio gets a little bit of hate because of their price. But if you own JL Audio subs, which I've owned several of them, and I sell them all the time, especially the architectural, because most of what I do is architectural. JL Audio is a kingpin. Their subs are amazing, and they're super accurate. They play low, they play deep. They're just pricey. But if you ever visit their factory, see their R&D, see their manufacturing, you'll see why they cost so much.
Geotech, Mark, hey brother, thanks for watching. And hey dude, you got an awesome room, and I know you love your JTR speakers and subs. He's honorary member of the 7 Cap Club. Mark also has 7 Captivator 4000s in his theater.
130 dB club or 140 dB club?
Well,
I know how you do it, because I hit 125 dBs in my system, and it's got more. I'm like, God dang, I can't. I mean,
well, I just finally, man, after so many years, hit the 150 dB club. So we I think I'm good for a hot minute.
Yeah, you're like in a car stereo competition, only in a living room.
Hey Fred, RS1 sub is near field to me. As long as you get a proper delay and you got the proper EQ, man, that near field sub is certainly a game changer for me. Certainly a game changer. I agree with you,
A
Fred.
lot of speaker companies make a line of subwoofers. Not everybody gets it right. And, once you go to the level of RTJ, JTR, Ascendo, 18-inch or bigger, you're just in a different realm. You're just never going to get that same sound from 12s or even 15. You're just not. I mean, they're
I got a question for you. Somebody's shouting you out, asking a question down. I'm bringing it up for you. So down, laser distance measure, then SPL lever match. Anything else?
Laser measure.
Isn't a lot of the distance though play part in like the delay is when the sound gets to you?
It does. And I know there's all kinds of technical reasons for that. I think laser measuring and putting the proper distances in make a bigger difference to me. I've done it time and time again.
So you're laser measuring and then SPL level matching anything, and then
I'll have my guys, my technicians, because I'm not in the field much anymore. I mean, I I do the concept, the design, the layout, but I have an amazing staff that does all the real heavy lifting on it. But we try to run the auto calibration, get phasing and various different things right. Then we'll laser measure and do adjustments on that. Then bring the client in and play demos and music for the client. I mean, that's what we do, and see what the client likes.
So while we're talking about that, Don,
Hundreds of pictures. So okay.
Yeah, let's. What? This is a project that you worked on. What are we looking at here?
So this is a house. So in my industry, every year, the Consumer Electronics Association, CE Pro, which is our trade magazine group, CEDIA, they all have awards, and you submit projects to win awards, which is pretty prestigious because a lot of people all over the world submit projects. And if you win, it's a great marketing tool. It's a great way to show your clients, hey, we know what we're doing. So this house is a house in Claremont, Florida, or Montverde, which is near Orlando. It's one of my builder partners, and he's a British guy, and he's a big movie buff, and he loves outdoor spaces. So in Florida, we do a lot of, if you look at that screen on there, and that Control 4 picture superimposed because it's daytime, but just so you know, but that's what's called roll down mosquito netting, which is actually up in a cavity, and it's got tracks on the side. So when you're outside, you hit a button and these screens drop, and they keep the bugs out, but let all the air in. You can see what's going on. They're really cool. They're super popular in Florida because the mosquito is a state bird. You can even get these in hurricane screens like we did at our Haven Smart demo home, which will actually take a hit up to 220 miles an hour. But so my builder said, can we incorporate a film screen into the mosquito netting that rolls up and rolls down? I'm like, I don't know, but I'm going to find out. So I contacted a company, Screen Innovations, which is one of our partners. And I said, hey, this is what we're trying to do. What material do you have that would work on that? They're like, well, we have a rear projection material called 360, and that would probably work on it. So I had them send me a sample. We tested it. It worked. Then that's actually a 130-inch diagonal 16:9 screen. So they create the screen company has a process they call bonding, where they can actually take the mosquito netting, right, which is metal, and they bond it. They won't tell us exactly how they do it, but they bond the screen permanently to that, and then we install it. So basically that's got two screens, one that's just a screen and one's a film screen. So in the evening, we put a projector up behind it on the sidewall. We put an Epson, and the reason we use the Epson is because Epson has what's called discrete codes for it to invert the picture, and I'll explain that. So we put an Epson projector up, then we put I think on this one we did Klipsch in-ceiling speakers. And so at nighttime, you can actually hit a button, roll that screen down, the projector fires up, and now you're sitting in that outdoor area with a pizza oven. You can see other TVs on distributed video, and you can watch a 130-inch screen with in-ceiling surround sound with subwoofers and everything coming at you. What's cool about it, since it's a front projection material, is you can walk around and you can see that same screen from the other side. The only thing is the image is inverted, but you don't really, or not inverted, but it's reversed. You don't really tell unless there's like a sports score or whatever. But we put a special button on the remote where you can hit a button and flip flop it. So that client can either sit in here and watch a movie and hang out, or they can walk around in their pool. And we've got landscape speakers hidden all along the landscaping in the pool, and they can sit in their hot tub or their pool and lay in the pool and watch a 130-inch screen. Or we've done them as big as 170 now. And you talk about living, you ain't living until you're laying in your pool having a drink, watching a game or a movie on a mass 4K screen. We kind of all co-invented this technology. I just like to show it because it's cool. I think it was one of the big factors. The house was pimp as hell, but I think that's one of the big factors why we won best custom home in the world with this home in 2019.
Yeah, dude, that is a That
Pretty
is a
pimp.
badass space. Yeah, dude.
Well, that's the kind of stuff that I like to do. I always tell my clients with the big homes, because you understand these big homes take up to 24 months or longer to build. There's designers or a team of designers or architects, custom builders. No detail is missed, from the keypads on the lighting control to linear lighting now, RGBW. And so we like to be real creative. And I'm super proud of that, because we've done it now in about, I don't know, 20, 25 different deployments. And people that have it say, this is the coolest shit I've ever had. We use it all the time. We have people come over with their kids. The kids go in the pool. We drink wine and beer. The kids watch a movie or Super Bowl time. You know, you can watch it inside. You can watch it outside. Oh, I think it's cool. And
Hey, Don, we got a question from
Sure.
Mikey. How bright does that projector have to be for something like that?
It doesn't have to be crazy bright, because you're only able to watch it at night. So that screen is a white screen. It's just no good. Sunset, as the light starting to dim and then into the night, that's when it really comes in its own. I think the Epsons that we use now are like 3,500 lumens, 3,000, 3,500 lumens, which really is plenty of brightness. Here's the deal: we're putting projectors outside, and when you put a projector outside, it's exposed to humidity in the elements. It's only going to last so long. This is a luxury thing. So we don't use expensive JVCs or expensive Sonys or Barcos or whatever on it. We could if the client wanted to pay for it, but most people don't want to pay for it, because in Florida we do a lot of on the water homes, as you can imagine.
Hold on. So this yeah, I'm gonna share.
Okay.
But like this obviously is an awesome room, and this is just a different aspect of what you guys do. Like you were showing, like we were just showing everybody.
Right. So this theater, the reason I showed it is I didn't design this. One of my proteges and my good friend who works with me, Sean Lawless, designed this. This is, I think, 178 or 180 inch, 235-to-1 screen. In this house, this was just a bonus room upstairs. So this was all built out and converted into a theater. If you look to the left, there's shades. We have actual blackout shades by Lutron blacking that out. Behind that screen are 3 Focal Utopia architectural speakers, which are their largest model, beryllium tweeters, really kick-ass speaker. And then everything else is in-ceiling speakers in there. I'm not sure what it is. I think it's a 7.1.4 going into that. It really turned out to be a great space. This is the actual 3rd theater we've done for this client. We did kind of not a hush box, but a little box to contain. That's a Sony 7000 projector. It's about $27,000. This client has a Mad VR, and this client just bought a Kaleidoscape for this room. He's kind of a friend of mine. He is a good friend of mine. But the seating in this is a company called Elite Seats, and these are the most badass theater seats I have ever in my career and sold and installed. Now, they ain't cheap, but it's like a Ferrari, man. They're beautiful.
Yeah, they certainly look nice.
Yeah, those Elite seats are just the bomb. So, and another thing, buy once, cry once. You know, everybody that's getting Valencia seats are going to wear out pretty quick. Just telling you.
You know what? Let's I want to talk about audio shows now. Myself, I've been to Expona before. I've been to a couple smaller shows.
Expona's a madhouse.
Huh?
Expona's a madhouse.
Yeah, that was cool because like Seton did it and Emotima did it, JTR did it. I really liked the home theater rooms, but to me, I'm going to be honest, the little hotel rooms where 25 guys are trying to sit in to listen to $100,000 turntable, it don't do it for me.
So all these companies don't have a lot of options because I go to a ton of audio shows. If they got a big room that costs a lot of money, good on them. It's great. They can do big surround demos and whatnot. But trying to put a $60,000 or $80,000 set of flagship speakers in a tiny hotel room. Most of the rooms in audio shows, most of the rooms have bookshelves in them that sound the best because they're sized properly for the room.
Yeah.
And you can say all you want. Oh, you can put any speaker in any room you want. That's just not true. A speaker will absolutely overpower a room and start to compress. 100%. Heard it a million times. So,
Yeah, I'm looking for bigger speakers for my living room. So if you know somebody.
yeah, I don't think they make a bigger speaker for your living room. I've heard those.
Oh yeah. You know what was funny is Kat, she's like, have I met Don before? I was like, no. I was like, but if you want to see some of his sweet dance moves, and I went to, literally, dude, right a half hour before we got on here, I went on Audioholics where you guys were standing in front of the RB. So I mean, your personal opinion between obviously the RBHs are known to be great speakers, and then the RTJs were right next to them. I mean, different price points because I mean, what's the MSRP on the RBHs?
Well, if you get the passive SVTRs like I own, they're 20 grand a pair, which is absolute freaking loot steal because they will destroy many $150,000 speakers out there. Just destroy them. Period. I've heard them, listened to them, know it. The real secret sauce to the RBHs is to get their active version, which exponentially increased the price. 40 grand, 55 grand, which is expensive, but for a 9-foot tall active speaker for 60 grand is a pretty damn good buy. They're just different, Scott. You can't. I'm not a compression driver guy, although I love the sound of Jeff's. I'd prefer the sound of a AMT tweeter or an array of tweeters. It's just personal preference. I mean, I've heard, I've sold.
Well, not many people have been able to hear.
Oh, I have
speakers. You know what I mean, side by side. For sure.
Potato patata. I mean, they're like I heard Jeff's. I'm like, oh my god, I could live with that the rest of my life. Then I hear the other ones. I'm like, wow, I love that. Yeah, it really is just. So there's really no one best. They're both very comparable. I don't think anything on the market in the consumer market will play louder than Jeff's, like you have in your family room with the 410s. But I personally prefer the sound of my RBHs.
So like the RBHs that are in Gene's smart home, those are the $60,000 model.
Full tilt, fully active, 8 12-inch drivers. And that big ribbon tweeter the RBH uses really gives similar output to compression driver with a different dispersion pattern. They're amazing. So they're both great. Listen, if I had all Jeff's system like you have in your living room here, I'd be perfectly happy with it. Now I just personally like the RBH.
You decided, I mean, personally, to mix RBH mains with RTJ subs. Is there a method to that madness?
Just it took me a while to dial in because so the SVTRs are a top module and a bottom module. And the bottom module in my house each one has 2 reference 12-inch drivers. So we've tested those at Audioholics. The RBH Dual 12 reference has output and characteristics similar to an 18-inch sub, but it's ported. And Jeff, the ones I have, the RTJs are sealed. So it took me a while to really calibrate them. And what's cool about my pre-pro is I can listen to music in this stereo with the towers full range, right? And then I can hit a button called extra bass. It's a Yamaha, and the extra bass will then bring in the 18s. And it took me a while to get those to dial in with the other dual 12s. But now that I have them dialed in, it's pretty awesome. RTJ subs will enhance, or JTR either or will enhance any system, no matter what you have.
So speaking of trade shows, are you going to make it out here next year to my neck of the woods? Let's say even though it's still a 7-hour drive.
Yeah. I mean, I just had 37 places to be this year, so I really want to go to Amwave because Michael's a good friend of mine. If you don't like Michael, there's something wrong with you. Just going to go out on a limb and say that. But yes, I will make it there, and I want you guys to come hang out with us in Florida too, and hit the casino and maybe shoot some video for your other YouTube channel that you're starting, your lifestyle channel. I love movies and I love music. I love it. Everybody that comes to my house gets a demo, whether they like it or not. And I like you can say you don't, but when people come in, they see my gigantic front speakers, they're like, holy shit. I can only imagine what you get.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. And it's crazy what we get used to, because at first, when I first got them, you walk in your room and you're like, holy shit. But now, I mean, they're part of the family pretty much. So to see people's excitement when they come in, it kind of makes you excited again about it. You know,
It does.
it's amazing what we can get used to.
You know, in our day-to-day lives, we listen kind of loud, but obviously we have hearing left, so we can't listen too loud at what these systems are capable of doing. Now, my main family room system with the RBHs and the RTJs, RBH actually makes amplifiers. They make really high-end Class D using the Pascal module, and they sent me a 600 watt a channel amplifier to power all my bass speakers. You know, my front LCRs and my two main rear surrounds, and that made a huge difference. RBH is a hell of a company. You know, I'm trying to get Jeff into more and more integrators, because his new RTJ line solves so many problems for integrators. They're very compact 18s, as you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We can build them in baffle walls and whatnot. But RBH also makes a plethora of amazing products. All my 4 Atmos speakers are my whole system's RBH in that room, other than the subs. It sounds great. I love it. I bring industry professionals over that, you know, like the reps for some of the highest end Wisdom Audio, B&W, Kef, and they all like, God damn, this thing rocks. You know what I mean? Nobody can argue with that. The problem is, in my industry, in my business, most people would never go for tower speakers. So the majority of what I do, and I know everybody's going to poo-poo on it, are sound bars. Now, when I say sound bars, I'm talking $12,000 sound bars sometimes that have CIs and Morel drivers, or RBH has got a sound bar version of my speakers for $9,000. Sound bars that rock, because we have to preserve the aesthetics in a room. So in some of my rooms, you go into them, you'll see a 100-inch TV or an 85-inch TV with a sound bar. It looks like it's part of the TV. All the speakers, all the surrounds are in ceiling or in walls, and all the subs are architectural. And you turn it on, and it'll floor you. It'll kick your nuts. I mean, kick-ass sound, but you can't see it. What's cooler than that? I know I like to look at big towers, and my house looks like an audio store. But for most people, they don't want to see that. The guy wants the sound. The wife kind of wants it, but she really doesn't want it to look like towers. So,
you know, a question that
I've got pictures of some of these on there. I got thousands of pictures, but can only send you a few. You know what I mean?
Yeah. A question that I get asked a lot, and that now that you review a lot of stuff, is people always like, what's good content? What's good audio? What's good video? I mean, when you guys are designing a room, like when, say, the first time you hit the person of their new theater, what are you guys playing?
Well, I mean, that's a good question.
I get the question all the time.
So
Like,
one of
hey,
my
how do we
favorite demos is from a movie that was out in the early 2000s called Open Range. It's got Kevin Costner in it. And it's a Western, but there's a gunfight towards the end of the movie that will test. It's probably the best surround demo I've ever heard.
It's called Open Range.
Heard that? Oh, you never heard it?
No, I don't think so.
Dude, as soon as this is over, you got to play it. The gunfight at the end is just it'll. If you have a killer system, it'll sound like a real gunfight more than any other movie you've ever heard. Open Range. Trust me on this one. I don't know if it's even in Atmos, but it doesn't matter. You don't need Atmos for it. You know, I mean, I do a lot of the Ready Player One, because it's just that first race scene is just such a great representation of what surround sound can do. I'll play passages from a quiet place just to show that dynamic range that comes from it. I mean, there's several, the usual suspects, you know, what's that one with Tom Cruise, Oblivion, where the ship flies around. I mean, there's several, you know, but I've been doing surround demos since the 90s. You understand? So I'll play like The Fifth Element and
Dirty Dancing.
What's that?
Dirty Dancing.
What are you talking about, Scott?
Patrick Swayze, Dirty Dancing. You were before
Nobody,
we went on live. You said that was one of your favorites.
Nobody puts baby in a corner, man. Come on. There's so many great demos. Listen, it's not real hard to impress anybody, even on a mediocre system with a surround demo. I like to play music. I tell you what I'll do is I've spent a lot of time putting together audiophile playlists. Now, they're not playlists you're just going to put on and listen when you're cooking or hanging out with friends, because it varies quite a bit. But I if you want, I'll make a playlist and share that with you, and you can share that with your people out here.
Oh yeah, no, because literally, I get that. That's probably one of my biggest questions, because people either finishing their build or got a new sub or got
Well,
a new.
if you got an Apple TV and you're not listening and you don't have Apple Music with Atmos surround, they call it spatial audio. You're missing out, because I listen to tons of that. And they're spatial audio or Atmos sound and music is a relatively new format, and people are just trying to get in the feel for it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like,
I use Apple Music sometimes in the theater for sure.
Yeah. So, if you watch Audioholics, we always have the some of the best industry professionals. I mean, we had a guy on who actually mixed the Dolby Atmos for the last 3 Star Wars movies. Movie sucked, but the sound was pretty good. And we have artists like Dominique Fiammi. We had her on our show one night, who she just came out with her first album in spatial audio, and it's kick ass. So at Audioholics, we try to get, at the root cause of it, the people that are mixing it, the people that are recording the music. It's a big deal. And you're going to see progressively the spatial audio and Atmos sound mixes get better and better and better once the designers, the mixers, understand, how to use these channels instead of just putting sound that shouldn't be there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You go listen to the Queen songs on spatial audio, and they'll blow your mind. They really, you can tell where they spent time. You can tell where they go back and take an album like Guns N' Roses or something and try to mix it in Atmos, and it's just like, yeah, you know what I mean?
I want to touch back real quick, Don, on the audio shows, because I mean, obviously you have the luxury, because it's part of your business, to visit as many as you'd like. If somebody was trying to plan a trip around 1 or 2 audio shows to do in a year, I mean, what are the go-to? I mean, what are the ones that are really worth the time?
I'm a little biased to the Florida Audio Expo, because I know the people that promote it and put it on, and they're true audiophiles. The problem is the hotel sucks where they've had it. I think they're trying to move it next year, possibly. But the best audio show that I've been to is coming from, if I was just somebody who wanted to listen and enjoy it, is probably the Audio Advice Expo up in Raleigh, North Carolina. The venue's great. Just the feel of the show is fun. It's everybody's in a good mood, good restaurants. It's not overly crowded yet, because it's only the second year. That's a great show to go to. Plus, Audio Advice is a fantastic company.
Is that geared more towards 2-channel home theater,
or
both?
And that one, it's both. Most audio shows are geared towards 2-channel. So you're gonna, if you go and you're a home theater enthusiast and you go to an audio show, you're gonna be bombarded by old men with hairy ears playing smelly cat music on tubes and shit that you don't care about. You're gonna hear $300,000 systems. You're like, man, just because of what they're playing. Like, I go in, I'm like, play Ghost Rider, play this, play that. I like to jam, I like to rock, and most audiophiles listen at low volume, and they're chasing a white horse, dude. They got that first hit years ago, and they're trying to beat it. I don't give a shit about turntables. I got one, but I use it 3 times a year. I love to stream. I love Tidal. I like Qobuz too. I like Apple Music, and I also like Amazon, but I just love Tidal because of the way the menus work and the amount of material that they have on it. And now they've switched, or they're weaning off MQA, which I loved MQA. I don't care what anybody says. Oh, it's not really. Blah, blah, blah. Let's write a white paper on it. It sounded great. But now they're moving to FLAC, high resolution. They tell you, what they're doing. But listen, if you're a home theater enthusiast, you might not enjoy an audio show because of that smelly cut jazz and C minor. Who gives a shit? Dude?
Yeah.
Who listens to that? Like I heard that on a commercial. Really? You got like cables on like little stands and shit. They cost $30,000 that are just complete fucking snake oil. Sorry. Freaking sorry.
No, you can say snake. It's fine.
Okay, cool.
That was different for M-Wave for me because I've been to a couple audio shows, and other than the 2 or 3 spaces at Expona that did a little home theater like Seaton and Jeff and Emo Pima.
Seaton's the nicest guy you'll ever meet, by the way.
Oh yeah, Seaton's been to my house a couple times. I've been to his house.
Great dude, man. I just got to meet him at Cedia for the first time. I was like, what a great guy. Yeah,
I got him on next week, so I think people will be interested.
And Seymour from Seymour Screens, another first
class.
Oh
yeah.
Bunch of
at M-Wave. And if you're
he's the bomb, dude.
If you're in the home theater, I mean, to me that M-Wave was all about the home theater.
I poo-pooed on his screens and I was misinformed, and I will admit it, because I always used, I didn't use woven screens. Look like shit for years. I knew they had the best sound, but I always used perf screens until Mark Seaton or Chris Keaton. Sorry, Seaton. I'm getting my people mixed up. Seymour convinced me and showed me the way. I saw video at Cedia, at Audio Vice in Cedia, that just my mouth dropped on the ground. Seymour screens are the bomb.
All right, Don. I think, brother, we have pretty much covered. I mean, we've been on here for about an hour and 20 minutes. I hope. Oh, yeah, Mikey, I agree. All those guys at M-Wave, man, M-Wave was such like a personal event. We were grabbing. Man, I grabbed lunch
in your backyard, right?
Yeah. Well, 7-hour drive.
Well, whatever. That's your backyard.
Yeah,
I mean M-Wave's a great show. It's the big boy. It's a 800-pound gorilla, but they're just, if you're in a home theater and you go to an audio show, just be prepared, because there's a whole lot of tweaky 2-channel stuff that you may not be interested in. Now, and here, before we leave and parting, I'm going to give you my Donisms on what I think the industry is going to. First of all, Class D is here to stay. Almost every system in my house is Class D with Hypex modules, Pascal modules. Class D is just it. It's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. They've really got the sound where it sounds great. I'm waiting for more. Like, I have an NAD T778 receiver. I can't tell you how good that sounds for a receiver. I know it's quirky and it's got little bugs. Works great in my system. Class D is the future. You're going to see more and more Class D coming up. And that being said, with Class D, active speakers with FIR filtering and DSP are the future, because you can get and tailor sound through a speaker that's active, and active meaning either the amp's built into the speaker, or the amp is remote, but it wires to the speaker with no crossovers. I'm doing a over $2 million theater right now. I can't talk about too much, but in that theater, we did all active speakers, and then we used the Trinov with the 64 channel, the 32 with the attachment module. And we actually did all the crossover points are done in the Trinov going to the amplifiers. And we've got a 72-inch tall rack full of amplifiers. Each tweeter, each set of mid-ranges all have their own amplifier channel. And the sound that you get from active speakers just destroys anything you've ever heard. Telling you, I'm promising you. And you're seeing more and more companies come out with that. When you can take a analog mechanical crossover and take it out of the mix, and then run wires directly to the drivers, do the crossover in the digital domain. Are you familiar with FIR filtering?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah.
All right. So FIR filtering, what I like about it, there's multiple things that it does, but I like time aligning the sound, because we all know frequencies, high frequencies, mid ranges, and low frequencies travel at different speeds. They just do. And you can either mechanically try to, like Focal, some companies mechanically try to time align it by angling the speaker or recessing the tweeters, but nothing can really accomplish what the digital domain can do to make sure that that sound arrives at all the seating positions where coherent where it needs to be. Plus the dynamics are just the bomb. The dynamics that you get from active speakers when everything is matched is just tremendous. And I hope Jeff does that at some point in the near future. I'm sure it's easy for him to do. It's not rocket surgery. You know, I mean, just eliminate the crossover, as good as his crossovers are, and put that into a digital, like a Marani processing system, or like a Trenov, if you're lucky enough to be able to afford it.
Here, Donna, let me, before we do part, I don't, JR asked this question. I don't even know if he asked it a while ago or not. Oh, it has been a while. I think we did touch on this because I was asking you about if that was an actual delay. And you said that you just had a better experience when you were actually doing a physical distance on the speakers, right?
I think technically they want to measure acoustical distance. I just always have laser measured and found that to get a better experience from it, honestly. Because what you got to understand is if you buy a product and it has a cheap microphone with a plug-in, like my Yamaha Pre-Pro came with a cardboard stand for the microphone. Like really, you need to do it with a laptop and a really good DSP microphone. I think the one Matt Pose recommends starts off as a mini DSP microphone. Then he puts a little bit different tip on it to make it better. I don't know exactly what those model numbers are, but that's the way to do it. Get your money for nothing. Get your chick. Nothing. But realistically measuring it that way, then and then tweaking it according to the client or your own taste is the way to go. When I'm in a surround system, I like to hear my surrounds, not overpowering. So I mechanically try to put them in spaces where they won't overpower, and then bump them up. We, again, in closing, we do a lot of architectural speakers, and the misnomer that architectural speakers don't sound as good is complete bullshit. Depends on what you buy and where you put it. And if you're sitting and you're doing a family room or a room and you can't put your surround speakers exactly where Dolby says or the recommended distance, it doesn't matter. It's okay. They're ambient surround speakers, dude. Unless you're in a bubble, there's so much misinformation and so many YouTubers out there, talking all this shit. You got to have these here and these there. You don't. I mean, you want to get close, but it's really not going to matter that much because speakers disperse in a wide pattern. So if your speakers here a little bit or here a little bit, it's not really going to affect your psychoacoustic of what you're hearing. I'll argue
what I see a lot, and even within my own space, is you work with what you have unless you're doing a complete brand new build.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
work with what you got.
Yeah, there's definitely stuff in my room that I would have loved to do different, or if I did a brand new house, that would be different. But I pretty much, man, we all work with what we have, and that's what it is at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm Anglo-Saxon, so I work with what I got, man.
Brother, I appreciate, and I'm sure everybody here appreciates an hour and a half of your time on a Friday night. I
mean, I'm glad for everybody tuning in on your first show. I can't wait to follow you and the different guests that you have on. You have Seaton on. You're going to have Youth Man on, which is really cool. Listen, I'm not trying to be ingratiating, Scott, but I love you to death and what you do and bringing people into your home and being part of M-Wave and really promoting the joy of this industry is awesome. We get so caught up in the technicalities of it and then, I mean, people hate each other. Different YouTubers don't like, people want to fight you on everything, dude. And this shouldn't be that way. This should be a fun hobby.
Dude, I'm here to just have a good time. I have people over, man. Let's have some beers. Let's watch some clips. Let's talk some shit. It's literally, let's have a good time. I've been in the hobby. Some of my first memories of life are revolved around this hobby because growing up with my dad being in this
Oh,
stuff.
dude.
So,
Yeah.
dude,
My dad he was never an audiophile, but he always had decent speakers. And I remember sneaking and listening to Cheech and Chong albums on my dad's record player when my parents were asleep. And, you know, and being in the car audio, and to wonder I have any hearing, I'm a certified firearms instructor. So I teach a lot of classes, and I'm lucky to have what hearing I have left. But I love the hobby. I like the people involved in it. You know, the coolest thing in the world is what? Having a friend who's into this that you can talk to about it, that you live near. You know what I mean? You're like, dude, come over.
Yeah.
I just did this and this. Check this out. Because you got to share it, right?
Yeah, or I just got this new TV, or I just got this new set of speakers. So, you know, I got people thanking us in the chat, Don. So, you know, I'm glad that everybody enjoyed spending a Friday night with us, and maybe you learned something, or maybe you just kick back and just
disagree. It's okay to disagree.
No,
I mean, we all have our own experiences with everything. All I can speak from is I doing so many different media rooms, theaters, family rooms, and using the same Another thing too that before we hang up, is that still a thing? Hanging up?
Yeah, let me get my corded phone and walk it back to the stairs.
You know, you used to know exactly how far you could bring that up, right? Exactly. Different speakers sound different in different environments. They just do. And you can't just go, oh, this is my go-to speaker. You can, but you put it in one room, it's going to sound different when you put it in another room, distance, wherever. There's a lot of factors that go into where you can and can't play speakers for most people. And most people don't have the luxury of having a dedicated room. I don't. I mean, I have a dedicated house, but it's not when I build, my girlfriend and I buy a house and build, I'm going to build a room within a room. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So I want to have a room that I can go into drunk at 1 a.m. and not bother anybody else in my house and crank the shit out of it, dude. You know what I mean? That's the goal. And that's where you got to start with the construction.
All right, man. Well, I tried to share
that. Your whole house shakes when you play anything.
Yeah. I you know, luckily I don't get too much kickback here. I get to pretty much do whatever I want, you know, but I don't go crazy all the time. I just, hey man.
Yeah, you do.
Once in a while.
You're so lucky you got Cat. Cat's like the dream girl, man. We all love you, Cat, by the way.
Yeah, well, she just bounced. Yeah, but she's been, you know, and a big shout out to her, because literally she's the one that's been filtering through all the comments all night and answering people's questions and just saying hi. Because
listen.
Oh, she says hi, I'm here. Oh, maybe
hopefully I'll get invited back. I didn't wear out my welcome.
Hey, no,
be a part of this.
Hey, brother, man, you know, maybe I'll bring you on once a month and you can share some new projects, some new ideas.
Look, I just like the people, because, I mean, how lucky are we that we get to share it with people that live all over? You know, being a part of Audioholics, dude, I got people coming to me at restaurants. I was buying liquor the other day, and like, it's super cool to find the people that enjoy this crazy hobby that we have, because most people just shake their head. They're like, oh, come on, man.
Yeah, dude, I literally, man, I just entertained a guy from India. He flew in from India, wanted to check out JTR subs. Yeah.
Really? Yeah. That's very cool.
I shared a bunch of pictures and stuff. He was over, and he said it was a once in a lifetime out of body experience. He's never, we had a lot of fun.
Say enough good things about Jeff and his companies and the products that they put out. He is a mad scientist, although he never wants to talk about audio till he gets shit faced. Then that's all he wants to talk about. But Jeff is a genius, and he makes amazing products, and I am super proud to own some of his products. And I have everything come through here, and I'm super proud.
Yeah, and you know, when I do my annual event, a bass, my annual bass event, bass brings us together. You know, when Jeff's here, he's chatting with everybody and hanging out. But you know, when everybody's not here, you know, we both have families. We're talking about that. Me, him, and Youthman, we went out and shot pool for a while. So, you know, he, you know, just over the years of being a customer of his, and then, you know, we finally becoming friends.
When I was at this place, South Carolina, kids were riding 4-wheelers and dirt bikes, and
Yeah.
we're all sitting around cooking steaks and drinking moonshine. It was an epic experience. Waking up in his guest bedroom, looking at the mountains right in front of me. It's pretty damn cool. Yeah, I commend him for.
Cool.
Yeah. You gotta move out of the People's Republic of Illinois and come down and join us in the South here. Come on.
I'm ready to retire, man.
You're right. Retire. You're like 38. We mean retire.
39. No.
39.
Yeah.
You're a baby.
All right, brother. Once again, I appreciate your time. I hope you have a good weekend. And I'm definitely going to have you on one Friday night in November.
Whenever. So, I'm always here to talk about technology and meet some of these cool people that are on here. There's, I like about this, there's no trolls yet. So wait till you get the trolls. That's always fun.
Oh, I have, Don, believe me, I got so many people tell me how stupid I am, how dumb I am, of how a ported sub is so bloated and worthless, how nobody needs that many subs, how I don't know how to navigate my life. Oh man, I love those guys, and you know what? I love them. I love those. I love the haters. Thank you for.
Yeah.
Oh, the haters.
They hate us. Look, I
worked in Chicago the last 20 years of construction, so.
I can't even imagine what your shit sounds like, because I got 418s and 412s in a pretty big, good sized room, and it just hammers. I can't even imagine what like I can't even play it to where what it's capable of doing, just because my house feels like it's gonna just collapse.
Yeah, I'll break those plates. I don't give a shit.
Oh yeah, I know you're gonna break that shit out of that.
Yeah, we're breaking
but all your pipes are. I mean, I'm talking about your house. No.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Well, your pipes might be clean at 150 dBs. I'm sure you might have had a couple people have to run to the bathroom. Awesome. Thank you, Scott. I love you. You're the bomb.
All right, brother. Love you too, man. Enjoy your weekend.
And I'll be tuning in, and I hope everybody and this grows into something really positive. And you deserve every one of it, because you've done a lot for this industry, man. And I'm grateful to call you friend.
All right, man. I certainly appreciate it. And hey, man, we're brothers forever, man. So enjoy your evening, man. I'm sure we will chat later.
I like JR Brown note. That's what it is. All right. Stay on when you get off.
All right, man. Later. All right, everybody. That is wrapping up the first night of Friday Night AV. I certainly appreciate everybody hanging out with us. I hope you had a good time. I just want to bring a cool, laid-back place for everybody to come hang out on a Friday night if they have nothing else to do, or maybe check it out at a later date, and just provide some cool entertainment for everybody. So stay tuned. Wednesday, Kat and I will be on our regular podcast, Living It Up with Scott and Kat, and we will have Michael Stevens, Youth Man, on, and we're going to have a cool interview with him. And next Friday night, we will have Mark Seaton on himself from Seaton Sound, and we will be talking about room layout, subwoofers, tuning. Mark's been in the business and building subs and speakers for a long time. Very knowledgeable guy, and he'll definitely have some cool stuff to be sharing with everybody. So tune in next week. I hope everybody has a good night, and I appreciate it. And for everybody that wants to get into the giveaway, all you got to do is subscribe, send us a message at livingitwithscottandcat@gmail.com. And all you got to do is put in the subject line, race to 1,000. And Kat will send you a message back that she has you down for the giveaway. And you'll have that confirmation email. So please subscribe to the channel, and everybody enjoy their weekend. And I'm out of here.